amazing nurses. It is Dr. V here with Morning Infusion with Dr. V podcast, where we are intentional about teaching nurses how to work from anywhere around the world, making money and owning your own time, building profitable nurse coaching and consulting businesses. You will hear from amazing guests that have grown their companies and want to share insight into how you can do the same to change the face of healthcare as we know it. If you want to grow your businesses and leverage your knowledge as a nurse to grow wildly successful businesses at the top, instead of working your way to the top, head on over and join our Millionaire Nurse CEO group on Facebook, where you can ask questions and get updates on our live and virtual events to help you grow your businesses. Good morning, everyone. So I'm super excited to have Dr. Farah Laurent with us. So before we get started, I ask that you like, comment, share the podcast, whether you're on Spotify, whether you're on Apple, whether you're on YouTube, share the podcast, whether you're on Facebook, either one. We want you to share the podcast. We want you to like it. We also want you to tell us, some good nuggets that you got out of the podcast, because Dr. Laurent absolutely brings some great nuggets. So I'm super excited to have her here. And so, Dr. Laurent, tell us who you are in your own words.
So thank you so much. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for having me on. This is amazing. I've been following you for quite some time now, so it's really great to be on the podcast. So really about me, I've been a nurse for over 20 years. But me personally, I'm somebody who likes to have fun. I like to travel. I have 2 young children, and I really believe my mission is really to empower nurses globally to follow their goals and follow their dreams, and to help nurses make money moves. So that's really, in a nutshell, a little bit about me.
I love it. So tell me, I always ask, especially when it comes to nurses, why did you even want to become a nurse?
Okay, yeah. So it's funny, everybody always has their own story. I always knew I wanted to go into healthcare. I didn't know quite what to go into. And then as a young, child, I used to play with my dolls and put Band-Aids on them and stuff. And I knew that I liked healthcare, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And then in high school, I started watching Trauma Life in the ER. And I was like, that's the type of nurse I want to be. I was like, I love that action, right? So in all my different experiences, when I used to go to the hospitals, I thought it was really cool what the nurses did. And for some reason, I thought about being a doctor, but I wasn't, 100% into that physician role, because I felt like nurses connected more with their patients. And that's kind of the route that led me to nursing. Because I think that I always kind of was just a natural nurturer, and, always like to help people. And I think nursing was just a great service type profession with a lot of options. So that's what interested me to nursing, especially that, that trauma and ER type life. Yeah.
You know what? I love it, because it's interesting that you said trauma life in the ER, because I have a daughter. So obviously I'm a nurse, so I want my daughter to be a nurse, right? And so I think I exposed her to trauma life in the ER too soon. Okay. She was like, no, I'm not doing
it. You scared her off.
She was like, I am not at all. I was like, come on, you need to be a nurse. She was like, no, mama, I'm not being a nurse. So now she's my makeup artist. Okay. I said, well, okay, maybe you can make some money as a makeup artist as well.
Yeah. A little less traumatic. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, you had an experience in nursing school that we were talking about. So in nursing school, you were told something, and what were you told, and what was your mindset at that time whenever you were told that?
Sure. So when I went to nursing school in Canada for my bachelor's. It was a 4-year traditional program. We had about 110 students in my cohort. And the cohort, it was diverse, but I felt like the faculty itself was not that diverse. We know that now in academia it's becoming a little bit more diverse, but really I had not much diversity in the faculty. We didn't even have male faculty. It was mostly like older white women, right? So I felt like it was a lot more strict before nursing school. And there was this one experience in my last year that a nursing instructor asked me, what type of nurse do you want to be, Farah? And I said, well, I want to be an ER nurse, right? I want to be like those trauma nurses. And she literally laughed at me, laughed in my face, and was like, Farah, you'll never be an ER nurse. You're too unorganized and you should start in med surg. So of course, as a nursing student, when your instructor says something like that, you take it to heart. But, for a moment, I was like, who is she to tell me, right? What I can and can't do. I was like, I'm not going to listen to that. And I'm going to still be ambitious. And I'm like, watch me, lady. I will pursue this. And me and another girl got to go into the ER for our last rotation. So I was very lucky and grateful that I got to go into that last rotation, because that's what led me to actually get hired into the ER, because I made some great relationships there, had a great preceptor, and then started in the ER as the new nurse. Actually, as a nursing student, they hired me before I even passed my boards. And that was kind of unheard of back in the day, because number one, there's no residency program at that hospital, and they really didn't hire nursing students in the ER at that time. So that's why I'm so passionate about, now what I do, helping new grads and, all nurses really get to where the place that they really want to be.
I love it. I love it. And, I love what you said about you, because there's two people. There's two types of people, right? You're going to have the one person that's going to be like, okay, well, she said I can't be an ER nurse, and so I'm just never going to do that. And then you have the type of person that's like, Dr. Farah, that's like, listen, I know what you said, okay? But this is not the way that it's going to roll down, okay? And
Right.
so you just need to be okay with the fact that I'm even going to get hired as a nursing student. Watch me, okay? Watch me, right? So listen, I love it. I love it. I love it, because it is that type of mentality. One of the things that I do with my grandchildren is, before they go to school, I say to them, we repeat affirmations. And one of the things that I say is, one of the mantras is, I love me, right? And everybody else's love is extra. Okay. And
Yep.
so, and we're every morning doing that, because at the end of the day, you have to know that you are who you say that you are. And so you can either say that you're a failure, you can say that you're a success, but either way, you're right. Right. And so you can say that you're going to win, and you can say that you're going to lose. Either way, that you're right. So I love, love, love that. Now, you had an interesting situation where your daughter was sick. And then you came back to work after your daughter was sick. And what happened? Now, this was not in the ER. This was after the ER. She had.
Right. So, really just a quick context for the audience. So I worked ER for about 13 years, various level 1 traumas, did travel nursing, and then fast forward, went into education. And it's funny, in education, before I got into education, even though I had certifications, my master's in education, it still took me 2 years to get into an educator role. And again, it was because a lot of the politics and, favoritism and things like that in the ER setting. And quickly to tell you, one of my nurse managers told me that I didn't have the soft skills to become a nurse educator. And of course, I didn't listen to that. And I still pursued it anyway, right? But not only did I get 2 education jobs, not 1, but 2 at the same time. So I actually got to become faculty for NYU School of Nursing. I was an adjunct clinical instructor, and I got a clinical educator role. So for those out there that are trying to go into education, you can do it. You just have to be persistent, right? So not only did I do that in a short time, but I got to the director of education level, in a very short time. And that was my dream role. So when I was in that role, I was in the role for about 11 months. And, short story, basically my daughter got really sick. She was 1 and she had a febrile seizure, and it was a complex seizure. So we were in there for a long time because they had to do all this testing. And for about a week, I was there. And then when I went back to work, I thought, okay, whatever, everything's good. And then I was in the middle of a education meeting. I had just onboarded 2 new educators, and we were trying to plan things out. And I get a call to come to the C-suite for a minute. So I go to the C-suite and I was like, I'm in the middle of a meeting, like in this way. And they're like, no, it's just going to be a few minutes. And the hospital system was making some changes within HR. Next thing you know, I sit down. Within a minute, they'd let me go. They're like, your position has been affected. And I was like, oh yeah, effective when? And they're like, today, like right now. And I'm like, what? Like no warning, so cutthroat. And they were like, basically, well, if you want, we can clean your office out for you, or you could do it yourself. And by the way, before you leave, don't forget to drop your badge off. And that's how cutthroat they were. So it was obviously like a slap in the face. And I was like, I walked out of that office, and for a moment, like walking down the hallway, I was like, these mofos. I was like, I can't even believe what just happened. And then for a moment, like I honestly felt like this immediate like feeling of warmth over me, like almost like it was weird, like protection. And it was like something telling me, right? Like, God, like you're gonna be okay. It's fine. And then I just walked with my head up, and that was it. And I was like, from that day on, I promised myself that I would go full in and really focus on my business as a nurse career coach, because these employers are not loyal.
Facts. And that's the thing. And it's the craziest thing for me, because I see people all the time saying, well, this is the steady thing. Okay. All right. No, it is not. The steady thing is for you to stay at the bedside. That's pretty steady most times, right?
Mm-hmm.
But into any level of leadership.
Yes.
And anything can happen at any time for any reason, and they can justify it by whatever reason they want to justify it by. And I'm not saying that it's a horrible thing. I mean, business is business at the end of the day.
Right.
But you want to be able to control that. That is for you to control. That is not for someone else to control that in your life, right? And that's where a lot of people, they are just like, well, I'm afraid to go out. Well, I'm afraid to stay in.
And think about it, right? Like that, back to that context of like, they don't care about you. Like you could have your family in the hospital, whatever it is, bills to pay. You could be homeless the next day. They do not care. So when I tell people, like, you need to start building your personal brand, even if you don't want to start your business right away, start building your personal brand and stop building your employer's brand, because all you're doing is blowing up your employer's brand and saying, yeah, I do this and I do that. But at the end of the day, they don't have your back, right? And HR doesn't have your back. So the worst thing you could do is go complain to HR for like a toxic work environment, because that's running rampant, because you're just setting yourself up, because HR is always going to have the employers, it's like a mafia, I call it.
And it's funny, because when I first came into nursing, or first got my professional job, right?
Right.
I used to say all the time, well, I'll go to HR. I'll go to HR. I'll go to HR. And I mean, they kept saying that. And I, of course, I never went to HR because I didn't think that was appropriate. I'm a face-to-face. If I don't like what you've done, I'll tell you, right? But at the end of the day, it's crazy. And then for them to immediately, and I've seen that done before, in my own personal job. And I just think it is very, very cutthroat to do things like that.
Right.
I'm not a fan.
Right. And even people that think, for people who are listening, and you might have a direct patient care role, or maybe you're in a union and you think that you're safe. Well, guess what? No one is safe, because they could still get rid of you if they really want. So, it's really important, like we're talking about today, to, have that side hustle or even multiple streams of income, because you never know what's going to happen. Right. So
I love it. So we're gonna take a short commercial break, and then we're gonna talk about the whole entrepreneurship journey. Here we go. Our live event is going down twice a year in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, called the Millionaire Nurse CEO Conference. We will be covering the blueprint and master plan to grow a wealthy and flourishing company. We love that you listen to the podcast, but we want you in the room. We will be sharing insights on marketing and sales strategies so that you are able to create more impact and make more money, creating more freedom so that you can do the things that you love. So join us for the nursing event of the century. Go to vpnursing.com to sign up for this life-changing event. So we're back. So Dr. Farah, so tell me a little bit about, so was that the catalyst to you going into business for yourself, do you think?
No, actually, funny enough, it was, I already launched the business a year prior to that. Well, but what it was a catalyst for me to really, dive in and go full in and really invest in myself and in my business and professional development, and really be more active on social media. Even though I've been active for the last 3 years, but I felt like it really gave me the push to really go all in and, focus more on the business.
Okay. So now tell me what exactly, as a nurse entrepreneur, what exactly do you do for your clients?
So what I work with all nurses, but the majority of my clients happen to be more new graduate nurses. So what I do is I help them with career guidance and clarity. And really what I say is I help nurses land their dream job in less than 90 days so that they could live their best life, right? And sometimes that's not necessarily going into the hospital. I really help them see, what it is that they truly want, so they build up to what it is that they want their end goal to be. So if they want to be a CRNA, they shouldn't be wasting time going into med surg. If they know that's their goal, I save them time by saying, listen, go right into the ICU and help them plan their career that way. Because a lot of nurses really, I feel like some of them waste time, and some have self-esteem issues where they're like, well, maybe I'll just start out here, but I'll wait to get to my dream job. And I'm like, why are you waiting? You have the skills, the knowledge to start wherever it is that you want to start. So that's kind of what I help them do, career guidance, help them with clarity, and really boost their confidence and help them with personal branding as well.
I love it. I love it. And I love what you said, because one of the things that coaching does absolutely is it collapses the time from where you want to be here to where you want to go. So I love that. But also helping them to understand, like, I didn't even know CRNA was a thing when I first came out of school, right?
Yeah.
And so, really helping them to understand, the whole gamut. Like, there's so many different positions that are out here that you don't have to work in a hospital, or you don't have to work in a clinic. Like, you can work at, these big corporations and things of that nature. There's so many positions that are available for nurses that they don't have to necessarily work or they don't want to work.
Yeah. And really, just to add, I want to change, and break these old nursing narratives. Like, you don't have to, yes, there are people that work their way up, the chain, or, I was a health aide as a nursing student, a CNA, whatever it was, they call it different things. This was in Canada, but you don't have to do that traditional climb, right? You could do whatever it is that you want. So it's like you don't have to like put in the work and work in a hospital to just get out and do what you want. You could do it from the get-go. But the number one thing that I always tell people, and especially obviously, these new nurses, is plan the lifestyle that you want first. That's number one. Plan the lifestyle first and then find the job that fits, because people try to do it backwards, right? Especially like if you have a family, you have kids, you don't want to be working night shift and weekends and holidays. You got to think about that and how that works and relates into that, especially people that go and want to become a nurse practitioner. Like I never had that passion. But especially acute care NP, it's great if that's what you want to do, but you got to think. Sometimes the money may not be what you think it is in the beginning. And you're working, night shift or weekends and things like that. So you just really have to think about it before you go to school and pay all this money to, be an NP. I say shadow people at least for a couple of days just to get an experience of what it's like before you go into, school, and then you'd realize, what, this is not really for me.
I love it. I love it. I always tell the story about me. I wanted to be because in this county, you can be a medical examiner, right? So I wanted to be a medical examiner. I thought it was cool, to do the forensics. I thought, oh my God, that is so cool. And then one of my friends died, right? And so, died, her father passed away. And so, all of our friends were kind of medical examiners. So it was a bunch of them anyway. So they were in there and we sat beside this man's bed and we were, just making sure that he was okay. And she was okay. I didn't want to leave her. And so we left and I dreamt about that man for the next week. And I was like, nope, don't want to do that. Nope, I'm good. And then I had to realize that when people pass away in the emergency department, like I was not going. I've been a nurse for 32 years. I can count on one hand the times I've been to the morgue. Okay? I'm not trying to go down there. I'm trying to do that, right? So I was like, this is not what I want to do. And then when coding, I wanted to be nurse informatics, right? And then they presented a code to me. And I was like, I don't know what those letters and numbers and those special characters mean, but I don't want to do that either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like on paper, it might look good,
right?
But, you got to think of all the aspects of it. But I think shadowing is really the best way to really see if that's something you'd like to do or not. Yeah, and mentoring, obviously, and coaching. Coaching, mentoring, talking to people, things like that. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So now, how long is your program?
So really, I had a program before, but now I really tailor it to the individual, because it really depends. Sometimes I'll work with individuals, and from the time that we start, sometimes they'll have a position within a month, and it's really quick and they get to their goal of what they want to do. And sometimes it might take 2 months. So it really depends, but really the program is tailored to really be about 5-6 weeks or so.
Okay.
And then I just help support them throughout the way. So they really can, contact me. We set up different meetings where we're looking at resumes and I help them tailor it. That's one mistake a lot of people do. They'll just have one generic resume and then they wonder why they're not getting called, because it's not really meeting the job description. And they don't have keywords and things like that. But really, it goes beyond the resume and cover. So I help them with strategies and even being more proactive in their job search, because you can't just apply and sit back, right? You have to network. You have to reach out to the recruiters. There's a lot of work that you should be doing every day, not just apply and sit back, right? So those are the strategies we go through.
So you were on what show? Because I got it wrong the last time. It was either Tamara Hall or was
Hudson. Yeah, Jennifer Hudson.
It was Tamara Hall, and you was like, "Listen, that's the next one I'm gonna be on." Okay, tell me how you got on the show. Okay.
So honestly, I believe obviously in manifestation and prayer. I always say that I always tell my family, like, whatever I set my mind to or I write down and I say that it's going to happen, it happens, right? And I really truly believe that. So for Jennifer Hudson, I always admired her. I watched her on on the American Idol, followed her music, and I love the voice. That was like one of my favorite shows. And I love when she like threw the shoe up there. I just think she's amazing. So I was like, I want to be on her show. And another reason I wanted to do that is because I also wanted to build my personal brand and like make sure that a lot more people know about me. So I was like, well, I'm just going to be on the Jennifer Hudson show. I'm just going to go right here and apply on her website and I'm going to be on. So that's what I did. And a few months later, I was driving home and I get a phone call. This was like probably in December. And then it was the producer. And I was like, hello? And she's like, yeah, I'm the producer of Jennifer Hudson. I'm like, yeah, of course you are. I'm like, what's up? So just talking. And then I'm like, so I was like, so when are you flying me out to like California so I can meet Jennifer Hudson? So she was laughing. And she's like, well, not just yet. We're just, talking to, different people and getting to know them. So that kind of went back and forth for a little while. And then they tricked me. She told me that I was going to meet another producer on FaceTime to ask me questions. So I was like, okay. And they set up the time. So when that call happened, it wasn't a producer. It was actually Jennifer Hudson calling me. So that's kind of how it happened. And then it was just amazing. It was so cool. She had the audience there and asked me a few questions about my business, and my kids happened to be there. So it was a cool experience. Yeah. So it was nice.
I wonder why they tricked you. I mean, like,
I don't know. But I was like, because I had a feeling that maybe I might be on or they might ask me to come, but I wasn't sure. But I think it was like a surprise thing that they do. And it was called like Happy Place in Your Face, like some segment like that. So yeah. So I was very grateful for that because a lot of people got to see it. So it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing it. I remember looking up. I was like, oh, she's a nurse.
And I wanted to go on there and just like tell people like, again, my mission to empower all nurses and really tell my story, because I think it's just sad. Like, I think it's sad that some people don't follow their dreams, and not just in nursing, but in general. Like, we only have one life in a specific amount of time here. So why not follow your dreams? And I'm like, don't listen to these naysayers, right? Because they're miserable. Right. So like, do what you want. And especially in nursing, like you get these new grads that are super excited. They have so much to already deal with. And then now you're telling them that they can't do something. I'm like, screw that. You can do whatever the hell you want.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Absolutely. I love it. So we're coming to an end. I love chatting with you, but all great things come to an end. So I've got some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So what has been the most rewarding thing about nursing?
So really, I think the most rewarding thing has been, I think it's like twofold. Number one is building relationships, not only with the patients, other nurses that I've met along the years and like really making an impact and helping people. And then number two, I would say the opportunities that it has afforded me, because it's such a great profession. And I always want to speak highly of it, because even though there are some things that aren't perfect, I think that's every industry, but I honestly think it's the best profession. Opportunity wise, like I left Canada, I came to the US, did travel nursing, and it's just a great profession because there's just so many things to do, and we can make such a great impact, not only locally, but I think globally. So nurses are really powerful, and I think, it's a great profession.
I love it. So what's the common misconception about nursing, you think?
Oh, I think number one is that, nurses kind of just report to physicians, and we just take orders and we work in the hospital. I think, they need to expand the view of the public. And I think it's part of our role as well as nurses to educate the public about what nurses can do. And I think when COVID hit, the world kind of saw nurses in a different light, and they saw more of a community type nursing, how nurses can be involved in health policy and different things like that. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So what are you reading now?
So what I'm reading now is actually, I think I had it over here. Hold up. I'm gonna grab it for you. Okay. Alex Hermosi, $100 million leads. So he's a millionaire, him and his wife. And it's just basically about business and how to get leads. Yep.
Gotcha. So what are some of the biggest lessons that you have learned in business?
Okay. Number one lesson, you don't want to work with everybody. So you don't want to take everybody's money, even though money is good sometimes, but you do not want to work with everybody. So I learned about how to qualify your leads to make sure that you're really working with people that you're in alignment with, and people that you could serve best, because sometimes it's just not a good click and you don't want to do business with everybody. So that's number one. And then number two is really the operations part, that you need help with the operations, because sometimes it's very difficult, and really to try to, what's the word? Automation makes things easier. And then the last thing is, like, you just have to be visible. That's constantly be visible, because I met this lady recently. She had a website for about 8 months or so. She didn't even share the website because she was too afraid. I'm like, you cannot be in business and not tell people about it and not be visible, because nobody's going to buy from you. So really building that brand and just being visible.
Right, and that's huge. Because I was telling one of my, I want to say, because we were at a inner circle retreat not so long ago, and one of the things that I told them was this young man came over and he detailed my husband's truck. Amazing, did an amazing job, right?
Mhm.
And then, like, I couldn't find him. Like, I couldn't find, because he gave me his card, but I'm gonna throw a card in the trash can. I mean, I guess I found it. So then I just couldn't find him. Like, I wanted him to come back, but he never contacted me again. Well, now the guy that used to cut our grass, right? So he used to cut our grass. When he first came here, he had this little rinky-dink truck, and he was cutting the grass himself. He had the one lawnmower. The second time he came here, he had a trailer. The third time he had a zero turn. The fourth time, and not the fourth time, right? But as time went on, he got a better truck. The fifth time he got a logo on this truck. The sixth time he had somebody else doing it. He built it because he kept calling us, right?
Yep.
You got to be top of mind. I love it. So now, who is a leader, living or dead, that you would like to have a conversation with?
That's a good question. I probably think Mandela. I think Nelson Mandela probably sticks out, because I have this quote that I framed, and it was about education and how it's one of the greatest weapons in the world. So I think the sacrifices that he's made, and the patience that he had, but he was just so wise. So I think probably Nelson Mandela would be somebody cool to speak to. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I would love to talk to him too. What is your favorite movie?
Um, that's a good one. I don't even know what's my favorite movie. I'll just have to say an easy one, like a Christmas go-to for me is Home Alone. That's
I love that too. I love that too. How do you define success?
Oh, that's a good one. So for me, success is having the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, and having enough wealth, meaning financial wealth, to be stable enough to support your family and really live, freely, to not worry about, what your next, where your next paycheck is going to come, and really just multiple streams of income. I think that's really my my definition of success, and really it changes often, and then really to spend time with family, right? So that's what it is for me. and making impact, right? Like, because I feel like you can have a certain amount of money, but if you don't have fulfillment, purpose, and you're not driven to make an impact and really to give back and do for others and to be generous, like you're not going to feel fulfilled. And I think that's why we're in nursing, because we'd like to make an impact and be a service to others. Yeah.
Fulfillment is the highest form for sure.
Yeah.
What is your life's motto?
Oh my goodness. My life's motto is everything is figure outable and let's just chill. Okay. Nobody's dying.
Now, where can people find you, Dr. Farah?
So I have a website, nursefarah.com. So that's nurse, NURSE, and then Farah just with one R, FARAH.com. And then on LinkedIn, you can find me as Dr. Farah Laurent. And then literally just Google me and I will pop up. And oh yeah, I wanted to highlight one more thing. I'm going to promote my book here, Nurses Making Money Moves. You can find that on the website, and it's a workbook. And really, it's like from ideation to really launching your business. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you today.
It's a pleasure. I love it. Thank you for inviting me.
Fun. So again, if you would like, share, comment, give us a review, download on Apple and Spotify. Let us know how we're doing. We want to make sure that you are being satisfied as an audience. And we want to make sure that we can keep bringing you amazing people like Dr. Farah. So you, ladies and gentlemen, you have an amazing rest of your day.
Thank you so much. And